Welcome. This video will provide an overview of designing and implementing a PlantStruxure Automation System with a mixture of Ethernet I/O and Distributed I/O, and using a single hardware I/O platform for both. Modicon X80 I/O is the single hardware I/O platform, and the I/O will be over a single Ethernet network. Before beginning the overview, I would like to point out that example UnityPro projects for this solution are available for download at the unityproexperts.us website under Tips and Tricks, Modicon Ethernet Services, and Where is an example for a system using a mixture of X80 EIO and DIO. The example was built using UnityPro version 8.0 and contains incrementally saved files for the steps executed during the development of the solution. The hardware architecture is based on a Modicon Quantum hot standby system, but hot standby is not a requirement. This solution is also demonstrating a fiber optic Ethernet I/O ring, shown in red, but fiber is also not a requirement. A key hardware feature implemented in this architecture is the use of the interlink port on the CRP312 EIO scanner. Connection of the Quantum NOE 77101 module to the interlink port allows the I/O scanner of the NOE to execute data exchange with the DIO drops over the shared Ethernet network. Another key hardware feature implemented is the connection of the DIO drops to the service ports of the EIO drop BMX CRA. It will be easier to understand other aspects of this solution if it is put into some real-world or even an imaginary environment. So consider that this solution is used to make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Because who doesn't like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? In this imaginary automated sandwich assembly line, the application of the peanut butter and jelly to the sliced bread is controlled by an X80 EIO drop, which requires high-speed I/O response. And the non-time critical I/O will be controlled by the X80 DIO drop. Because peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are so popular, the system has 3 assembly lines, and these will be referred to as Line 1, Line 2, and Line 3. Now let's take a more focused view into the communications or data exchanges. The Quantum hot standby CPUs will communicate with the EIO drops through the CRP312, and the CPUs will communicate with the DIO drops through the NOE 771, then through the CRP312 to the BMX CRA. This solution also includes X80 DIO drop managed communications with EM3550 energy meters. Here is an even more detailed view of the data exchanges. The EIO uses Ethernet IP, which can be optimized as required. The energy meters are connected to a Modbus serial RS485 network. The X80 DIO drops use Modbus TCP and can also be optimized. The X80 DIO drop data exchange will include I/O status and control, internal application required status and control, X80 DIO drop diagnostic data, and the data from the EM3550 energy meters. The creation of this data exchange is the starting point for a deep dive into the details of this solution. Starting within the Quantum-based project, the Line 1 DIO project is created, then opened, and the hardware configuration is defined. Then the data acquisition from the energy meters is added. This is managed by DFBs, one for coordination of the Modbus serial network polling, and one for each of the EM3550 energy meters. To understand the functionality of these DFBs, please see the UnityPro Experts video, U2V Control Objects for Modbus Serial Field Devices. To facilitate the management of the energy meter Modbus network from the Quantum application or externally, there are DDTs which contain the status and control necessary, and these will be a part of the X80 DIO drop data exchange. A DDT is also created and used to contain the energy meter data. Next is to provide diagnostic data for the DIO drop hardware. This is done by creating variables that are IO DDTs for the hardware and other required diagnostic information as EDT types, referencing these to system words and/or bits. And then code and functions are used to consolidate these data points into a variable that is based on a DDT created to contain the diagnostics and include them in the data exchange. To create the IO status and control interface, the Unity IO assigner will be used. So the child Unity Pro instance DIO drop is exported to a ZEF file. To see how the Unity IO assigner accomplishes the creation of the IO status and control interfaces, see the video implementing Modicon Ethernet IO with the Unity IO assigner v1.3. The Unity IO assigner has created two Unity Pro export type files that will be used. The child Unity Pro instance DIO drop project is closed, and the Unity IO assigner produced ZEF file is opened. It is important to understand how to work with the child Unity Pro instances of BMX PRAs. To learn the details, see the video Managing Unity Pro Projects Containing Ethernet DIO X80 Drops. These auto-assigned IO module channel variables were added to the project by the use of the Unity IO assigner. And these DDT definitions. So I now have all of the DDTs defined that are required to build a single DDT that will be used by the IO scanner data exchange. And I put these together into a Blender system DDT and a Blender control DDT. Why Blender? Well, in case you were having a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and missed it, the DIO drops in our sandwich assembly line are controlling the peanut butter and jelly blenders. Now, note that I have also included some spare words, and the size of these arrays are set to round out the word usage of the DDT to an even number of words. These Blender DDTs are used to make variables, one for the Blender system status and one for the Blender control. And these are located, providing the Quantum NOE IO scanner with access. Next, the two Blender DDT definitions are exported. These will be imported into the parent Quantum project later. The last function required by the X80 DIO drop is to have the BMX PRA know the status of the Quantum system. This is necessary because the preferred operation is to have the DIO drop act like an EIO drop and include the option to set the output states to predetermined states in the event of a communications loss or a stop of the Quantum controller. The basis for this is a readvar function that will read from the Quantum %S12, the run status bit. If the readvar has an error or if S12 is false, then the fallback states can be set. The complete logic for this can be reviewed in the available Unity Pro content. So this completes everything needed in the Line 1 X80 DIO drop, and I can build, save archive, export, and exit the X80 BMX PRA DIO project. Now I will create the Line 1 DIO drop interface variables in the parent Quantum project. This begins by importing the Unity IO assigner generated XSY file for the Line 1 DIO drop, and then the exported Line 1 Blender system and control DDTs. After this, these DDT definitions will exist. And note that these two groups of DDTs actually contain duplicate information. Next, I will re-reference the DDT type used by the Blender System DDT element for the Line 1 IO status, and then re-reference the DDT type in the Blender Control DDT element. Now the unused variables created by the XSY import are deleted. These are not required because the status and control interfaces that these represent are also defined in the conglomerate Blender status and control DDTs defined for the data exchange. Next, the unused DDT definitions can be deleted. these need to be deleted in an order which considers their dependencies. So these two first, and then these. Next, I will rename these DDTs, making them unique for line 1. And now I create the IO scanner interface read variable, locating the variable at the IO scanner entry read master object defined address for the line 1 DIO drop. And next, create the IO scanner interface write variable, locating the variable at the IO scanner entry write master object defined address for the line 1 DIO drop. With these two variables created, the interface is complete, and the reading of the line 1 DIO drop data looks like this. And here is the writing of the line 1 DIO drop control. Also, note that the DIO drops will be auto-assigned IP addresses by the Quantum NOE address server. This is all that is required for the line 1 DIO drop. And now the other two DIO drops in the solution. Simply add the NOE IO scanner entry for line 2 and launch the PRA project. In the empty Unity Pro child instance, open the exported line 1 DIO drop ZEF file, and then rename the project. Build, save archive, export to ZEF, and exit. Next, launch the Unity IO assigner and load the line 2 ZEF file. Then generate the Modbus mapping and exit. This will generate the IO scanner interface variable XSY file. Then repeat the steps previously carried out in the parent Quantum project to complete the line 2 IO scanner interface. And line 2 is now complete. Repeat what was done for line 2 again, but this time for line 3. And now all 3 DIO drops are complete. Here is a quick recap of how the Unity IO assigner has been used so far. For the X80 BMX PRA DIO drops, variables were auto-assigned to the IO module channels, Modbus mapping to %MW addressing was auto-generated for the IO module variables, and structured variables were generated for use with the Quantum NOE IO scanner interface with the BMX PRA. The next step towards completing the overall solution is to use the Unity IO assigner for the Quantum and X80 EIO drops. Remember that following the import of the Unity IO assigner ZEF file, it is necessary to put the X80 BMX PRA DIO drop content back into the parent Quantum project, and here use the STA files for this. Again, the details regarding this are contained in the video, Managing Unity Pro Projects containing Ethernet DIO X80 drops. Recapping the Unity IO assigner contributions at this level. The device DDTs for the modules in the Quantum and EIO drops have been renamed to topological-like names and appropriate comments added. EIO drop IO module channels have been auto-assigned variable names, and these have been automatically aliased to the corresponding device DDT elements. Modbus mapping was auto-generated for the EIO drop IO channels, allowing Modbus clients to access the IO channel data. With all of this now in place, the programming of the DIO drops IO will use structured variables, and here is a simple example of this benefit. In the peanut butter and jelly sandwich assembly line, consider what might cause the peanut butter blender trouble beacon to illuminate. It could be the peanut butter blender emergency stop button, any hardware error in the DIO drop, disabling of the polling for the energy meters, or maybe a COM error with the blender energy meter. And that concludes this overview of designing and implementing systems that use a mixture of X80 Ethernet IO and X80 Ethernet Distributed IO. It is time for me to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Yum! I hope that in this overview you have discovered new and interesting information that will help you to make the most of your energy. As always, have a great day.